Hey, do you want to hear more of that last story? Praise God for part twos. Don't you love that? Welcome to the Heaven's Metal podcast. Today we're going to transcribe the part of the TSO interview that has never been transcribed. You know, this interview is with Paul O'Neill. And if you know, Paul O'Neill has gone on to be with the Lord. And if you go to a Trans-Siberian Orchestra show nowadays, you will hear how he was revered. And we give him moments on stage and we talk about how he put that whole thing together. And so now that he's gone, I can't contact him for follow-up questions. But I have missing pieces of an old interview. We're going to find out what they are. So here's my faithful old machine that I got back in the 80s, an Olympus Optical Company Limited Model T1010. So I turn the power on and I get the foot pedal. You got a foot pedal here. And what's the white pedal for? The white pedal is to start a nuclear war in Finland. No. The white pedal is rewind and this pedal is to play. So when I press play, it's going to come out of the speaker and I can adjust the speed, the tone, and the volume. So here we go. I'm going to press the pedal.
The most ones in the rock band represents the serve, and the lone cello represents the single individual that's trying to get.
That's what I've heard already. So we're right almost to the point of the new stuff. There you go. I just got done listening to the Paul O'Neill interview that I hadn't heard since 2006 when it happened. And the player had a couple playback problems. A couple times it stops, doesn't want to play, and I'll hit play and stop and play and stop and it gets to start playing again. But I heard the interview. We talked about what he does on tour because he's like the curator of the tour, and he goes on tour like the super duper manager. And his mind is going over a million directions on the show and what needs to be happening, and from lights and bass sounds and side fills and monitors and all that kind of stuff. But hey E.T., thank you, buddy. Thank you. Got a great cat named E.T. His brother's name is Romeo. They're both awesome. Anyway, so then I asked him a series of questions. I listed some bands like Images and Words by Dream Theater and Rush, and asked him about UFO, and he's like, Michael Schenker, doesn't get better than that. Talked about that great guitar player, he's awesome. And asked him about Stryper. He said didn't know much about him. Asked him about Metallica, talked about that. And I asked him about Bride, White Cross, and some other band, or any Christian heavy metal band. I listed off about 3 or 4. And then he went on a long dissertation about art, bad art, good art, and great art. And he talked about good art that kind of remembers you a fishing trip with your dad or something like that. It touches your emotions. But great art changes the world. And he gave examples about the justice system and child labor and stuff based upon stories and musicals and stuff. So it's really cool to get his head on that. And asked about Pink Floyd. He talked about Pink Floyd and how they invested their monies after a tour to put it in the next tour. So anyway, I've heard it. I'm going to go about transcribing it during the crowdfunding campaign. And we will have a Trans-Siberian Orchestra chapter in this that will include a never heard before interview with Paul O'Neill. And I got quite a compliment. Said he at the end of the interview, he said, okay, I gotta go, I gotta get ready for a flight. And Doug, you have a lot of clout. I got all these reminders of people in the office chasing me down. Said, you gotta do this interview at 3:30, you gotta do it. And so I don't know what kind of clout I had with their office, but apparently it was real important for them for this interview to happen. And it was kind of cool to hear that. So that's the end of part 2 and the good story, and we'll hear more from me as this crowdfunding campaign progresses and whatnot. So say goodbye to E.T. and his big, mighty Maine Coon cat paw. Join the discussion. Talk about cats, talk about Pink Floyd, Michael Schenker, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the late, great Paul O'Neill, or what? Just talk about something. Come on.